Hi all. In the previous video, we have installed Angular CLA Angular application in our machine. It is running inside 4200 port. Now we will check out the code. So opening the code, I'm going to take Visual Studio Code. You can import your project. You can open your Angular folder, which we have downloaded in the previous video. You can see the structure of Angular app. We have many folders like two folders like node modules, src. Then the main thing I will go first is like first one is like package.json. This is the file we will mention the dependencies and the dependencies of our Angular application. You can see all the Angular packages which is required to run our Angular application. Then you can see unit test cases files that we will cover later. Then Angular application has been made using TypeScript. So all the dependencies required to run Angular application is mentioned in package.json when we are giving npm install command, or when you are when you are creating a new project using ng new command. What happens behind the scene is like whatever dependencies and the depth dependencies you have mentioned here, it will be installed inside the node modules. So all the packages mentioned in the package.json will be installed inside the node modules. So where our code decides, that is the next question. Our code decides in a src folder. That is the main folder. We will edit our code and we will manipulate all the changes we need. So you can see the first HTML file here. Index.html is the first file. We can see approot is a different tag. This is all other HTML elements, you are aware of that, but you can see approot is a different custom uh, tag which is mentioned inside the index.html. From where it is coming, that is the next question. So you can search in the app folder. In the app component.ts, you can see a selector. So this is the selector which is loaded here. So whatever content we have mentioned here, it will be replaced with app root command. So there is app folder and we have app.component.ts. We have different sections like import section is there, then some decorator is there, and then we have some export class is there. So what is happening here is like if anywhere this app root is mentioned, please upload that with app.component.html, and whatever styles css you are applying with app.component.css, override with that. That is a command that is mentioned there. Okay, so this is how it looks like. So you can see many by default many css has been returned directly in the html. So we can remove everything. Okay, and you can simply type hello world. Then now we can check whether it is reflecting or not. So in the Chrome, it will be automatically like it is watching every changes we are doing inside our Angular application. So you can see it is compiled successfully, it is not exiting, so it is still running it behind the scenes. So whatever changes we are doing in our Angular application, it will be reflected as soon as possible. So it will be automatically refreshed and it reflected hello world. This is how we have changed it. So you can check and inspect element, then body. You can see app root, it is override with hello world. So the content, whatever content we have mentioned in the app.component.html, that will be inserted inside this app root, and that will be displayed to the user. This is how it works. The next thing is like you can see in the component. So how it should be like, we have a component, we have an HTML, we have CSS files here. The spec file, which is something called for writing unit test cases, that you can cover. I can cover it later. You will get more understanding about it later. So we have a component, we have an HTML, we have a CSS. HTML, if something we need to show to the users, you can write inside the HTML, and if you want to, more um, design, like if you need to put more designs in this HTML, you can use CSS. Then about the interaction, what about the interaction? So if I have a button inside an HTML, and I have given a color to that button using the CSS, like a green color button or red color button. If I click on the button, I need to show some message to the user. I have clicked in the button, something like that. So that type of functionality we will return inside the component. This is how it works. So this is done using TypeScript. So this is in TypeScript, you can declare a variable simply like title equal to any variable name. Then I am assigning that value to this variable. So I have a variable called title here. So if I want to use a variable of the component inside the HTML, how we will use it? That is the next question. So in Angular, we are providing an method double curly bracket. In the double curly bracket, whatever the variable you are using here, you can directly paste it here. Okay, then you can see it is refreshing Angular app. So it is a one-way communication from the component. If you want to, if I am using a variable inside the component, and whatever value inside that variable is to reflect inside the HTML, then you can use this way. This is called one-way binding. Like if I am changing here to hello world, save it, title, then hello world is showing here. This is how this one-way binding is operating. HTML. If you want to give some color, you can give a class title. Then inside the CSS, you can return dot title, then color equal to red, font size equal to 12 px. Save it. You can see that hello world text has been changed, color has been changed, the font size has been changed. So this is how it get connected. So whatever HTML we have written here, if you want to change the design style, you can return inside the CSS. If you want to do any functionality, okay, for example button click or any functionality, or if you want to make this variable dynamic, or if it is coming from the database, you can return inside the component.ts, or whatever value is there in the component.ts, it will be reflect automatically in the variable. In the next step, in the next video, we will explain more about two-way binding. That means now what happening is like whatever returning in the TS file, if value is changing, it will be reflected here. The next scenario is like whatever value changing here, like this is one way binding. For example, if I am using an input box, if I am typing anything in the input box from the HTML, if the value is changing, that should be reflected inside the component.ts as well. That we will cover in the next